My journey as a widow has been challenging. It's not easy. And the money, I'm not even talking about the money, but the loneliness.
How old were you when you were widowed?
It's been 7 years as a widow.
What are the challenges that you have faced on this journey as a widow, and how have you been able to overcome those challenges?
Something happened one day in my house. I was at home with the kids. The boys were hungry. I had no food and I had no money. Okay, you can imagine such situation. I always tell people that if it's just me, I think I could manage myself.
It wouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a problem. But you know, those little ones that they look up to you for everything. I cried because I felt it. That was the day I felt it. And I pulled out a chair. I was like, God, you sit on this chair. I want to talk to you and ask you.
Wait. Am I the one that gave you that formula? Because that's my formula.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And I prayed, I cried, I talked to the chair like I was seeing God.
And let me tell you, God was seated
Exactly.
right there. Hello viewers, welcome to Hangout with Ndi Akan, and I am Ndi Akan. On our show today, we have a very beautiful lady who is here to tell us her story. She is a public servant. She will be talking to us, sharing her story with us. So I want to invite you viewers to come with us after this break as we meet our beautiful guest for today. Welcome back. So today we have our beautiful Mrs. Inemesit Antai on the show today, and she's here to share her beautiful journey with us. So though I've mentioned her name, but I'll still like her to talk about herself, like the schools she attended, talk about the number of children she has, and then we'll proceed from there. Welcome to our show, beautiful Inem Antai.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It's nice to be on this show today. Hello, viewers. My name is Inemesit Antai. A native of Ikorekbene, though was married to an Oron man. That's where we have the Antai.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. And I attended Monica Kindergarten Nursery School at Ikorekbene.
Okay.
And then afterwards, I proceeded to Federal Government College, Ikorekbene.
Okay.
And then to Akwa Ibom State Polytechnic.
Okay.
So, yes, ma'am.
All right. So all your education was done in
Ikorekbene.
That's great.
Yes,
That's great.
So I have an HND in mass communication, though I intend to further.
Okay.
Yes.
That's interesting.
My story. Well, I actually got married in 2013.
Okay.
To a loving man, a native of Oron.
Okay.
And we were blessed with 2 lovely children, 2 boys.
Good.
But along the line in 2018, we lost him. That was as a result of a brief illness.
Okay.
So since then, it's just been me and the boys. So I would say I'm a widow, but being a widow doesn't really mean, life isn't fair or I have to give up. I have never given up in life. Actually, when I lost my husband in 2018, I looked at myself and I tell you, the kids, then my first son was just, I think 4 years plus.
Okay, I was about asking that. How
Yeah.
old were your kids when he died?
Okay. My first son was 4 years plus,
Okay.
and the second was just a year and few months.
Oh my God.
So you can imagine how it was. But then I looked at myself and I told myself, girl, this is not the end of the world. You know,
And this is reality, so you have to face
I have
it.
to face it. Exactly. That was what happened. I had to wake up to the reality of life that, okay, he's gone and he's gone. But then what really happened, the challenge I faced then, was the way I could actually explain to those boys and probably tell them, oh, dad is gone
Because
and he's
they
not
were
coming
too
back.
young.
Yes, they were too young
To understand.
Yes, they were too young to understand. And all thanks to my mother, she's been a backbone, Miss Mercy.
God bless her.
Yes, she actually, she played the role of a mother in my life.
She is.
Yes. I would run to her when I had issues, when I had challenges, and she would tell me, look, my daughter, this is not the end of the world. All right? Just face it, face the reality, how it is. You would definitely get to where you wish to. And you see those children, of course, you will get to train them the way their father would have done.
Would have wanted them to be trained.
Exactly. Their father was this this caring father that would want his children to go places, would want his children to get to where he couldn't reach.
to.
Yeah. So, and I told myself, wow, what would happen now that this man is no more? Are you sure you can take up this responsibility as a single mother? I grew up to hear the stories of single mothers when they tell their stories, and I'm like, how do these people cope? What really happens? Those that are divorced, those that lost their husbands and all of that. And while I keep asking myself those questions, unfortunately, I found myself in the same situation. Yes. And I would sometimes feel like, the whole world, it dawns on me that I'm all alone. It's different when you have a man by your side. Yeah. That is, you have a support.
I understand.
Whether financially, physically, spiritually, and otherwise. Emotionally, thank you. But in a situation you find yourself being alone,
you are the
nobody
father,
to
you are
talk
the mother,
to. Exactly.
You are everything.
Nobody to talk to. It is not an easy situation.
So
yes.
what are the challenges that you have faced on this journey as a widow, and how have you been able to overcome those challenges? Yes.
If I want to talk about the challenges, I'm not sure we would leave this show today. Okay, but I'll try as much as I can to, to summarize the whole story.
Okay.
My journey as a widow has been challenging in so many ways. Number one is the financial aspect of it. Okay? Now let me take us back to when I lost my hubby in 2018. Then I remember my first son was in a school. What's it called? Okay, let me not mention the name, but
school, okay.
Yes, please. The school was a bit expensive,
okay.
And being that my husband was this classic type that would want his children to be in the best school, to have the best education. Exactly. So my first son was there, but the second was yet to, to start school because he was still a baby. Okay, so immediately I lost my husband in January, on the 9th of January, and that day happens to be my birthday. Yes. I actually lost him on my birthday, and that is one, how do I put it? That is one Oh my God, I don't want to talk about
No,
it.
I can
You can
I
imagine.
can just imagine, because what that means is that in many years to come, you can't really celebrate your birthday well.
Yes.
Because it's a day of mixed feelings.
Yes.
A day where you're supposed to celebrate your birthday.
But
A
when
day
you
where
remember
also
what happened,
remember
yeah,
that you lost the love of
for
your life.
and then the whole celebration thing is like, what am I even doing today? What am I celebrating? This is the day I lost the love of my life, my backbone. So what am I celebrating? But anyways, that had happened, and we've been able to, try to control the emotions that comes on that day. So as I was saying, I told myself, look, this boy is in this school, and this school is expensive, and the second boy is supposed to join him. Okay, so will you be able to, take care of the finances, the fees, the books and everything for both of them in the school? All right, so the first thing I told myself was, look, girl, you have to pull out this boy from the school. Because there is one thing I advise young widows, because I see myself as a young widow. Then I grew up to see widows to be these elderly people. But, the life has changed. So we now have young widows.
Life happens.
Life happens, that's it.
By the way, sorry to cut in. How old were you when you were widowed?
Oh, I was 31.
I was 38.
Oh, really?
Yes. I was 38 when I was widowed. Yeah. So go ahead.
Okay, so that was the first thing I did, because I was looking at, taking the second one to the same school. This will cost more money. And then taking care of their fees, their books and everything, and the feeding, the clothing, everything on me. So I told myself, no, I can't do this. So the first thing I did was to pull out the first one from that school, took him to not a very cheap school and not a very expensive school, a moderate and average school. Okay, so I took him there, and then I took the second one as well to the same school. So I was able to register both of them. And while my husband was in the mortuary, both of them had to be in school. It was quite pathetic. Even during the burial, when I invited the school, they looked at the children and were like, did you just invite me for this children's funeral? And I said, yes. For the father. And when they looked at me, they were like, you look so strong. How have you been able to cope? Like, you mean their father is in the mortuary and you brought them for admission? I said, yes. The father is gone and these children have to go to school. What would you have me do? And then the day of the burial was something else, because when the chief mourner was announced, it had to be my first son. You are 4-year-old. My 4-year-old at that age. So people were like, my colleagues that were there at the funeral, they were like, wow, this life. But anyways, that had happened, and we took up, I had to take up the responsibilities, the fees, the books, the feeding. And one thing that was so challenging was the fact that I had to explain to these boys that their father was no more. Because the first one that at least had few years with the father was able to recognize the father, while the younger one was unable to, couldn't really picture the face or yeah, exactly. So the first one would ask me, Mom, where is Dad? When is he coming back? And I kept telling him Dad traveled. But at some point I asked myself, for how long will you continue, giving the boy hope that the father is coming back, whereas we know that this man would never come back. He's gone and he's gone. So I had to summon courage one day, and I called both of them. I sat them down. I told them, look, you know what is dead, right? And they said, yes. I told them, look.
By this time, how old were they when you decided to talk to them?
The first was about 6 then, and the second was 2+.
Okay.
Yeah. So I just openly told them that your father is gone. But not to worry, I am here for you both. I'll try my best as a mother. I played the role of a mother and a father. There are things I do sometimes, and maybe someone would look at me as if I'm going crazy, or someone that is mentally deranged or something. But I am not. Okay, something happened one day in my house. I was at home with the kids. The boys were hungry. I had no food and I had no money. Okay, you can imagine such situation. I always tell people that if it's just me, I think I could manage myself.
It wouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a problem. But you know, those little ones that they look up to you for everything. Oh, mommy, I'm having headache. Mommy, this is the problem. And you are the one to provide for them. And when you look at yourself, there's no man around you. Not like you didn't have one, but you just realized
He's gone.
He's gone. And you have to do this. So I stood up and I asked myself, what would you do? And I don't want to go out borrowing. Okay? I don't want to go to maybe a shop to get some stuff to pay at the end of the month on credit. I wouldn't want to do that. I cried that day. I wouldn't lie to you, you know. I cried because I felt it. That was the day I felt it. And I pulled out a chair. I was like, God, you sit on this chair. I want to talk to you and ask you.
Wait. Am I the one that gave you that formula? Because that's my formula.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Honestly, it just came. It was like an inspiration.
Yeah.
Okay. And I pulled out a chair and I'm like, no, I can't go through this alone. God, you really have to sit here. Let's talk about this situation.
Let's talk.
You must tell me what to do. And I prayed, I cried, I talked to the chair like I was seeing God.
And let me tell you, God was seated
Exactly.
right there.
So I talked to him, I talked. I cried. My kids kept knocking on the door. I refused to open because one thing with the children is the moment they see you
Cry.
You'll cry. It sends another, I don't know, it gives them one emotion that it may take time for them to forget to get over it. Okay, you as the mother may actually come out of it, but the children. Okay, so I didn't open the door. I just stayed in my room. I talked, I cried, and I prayed at the same time. Okay, when I finished, I stepped out of my room. The boys were like, Mommy, we've been knocking. What happened? I told them nothing, that I was praying. And they looked at me because my first son can observe. He looked at me and said, Mom, your eyes are red. Your eyes are swollen.
Aside that, your complexion.
Okay.
You're very fair.
Yeah.
So the moment you cry, your face will become red.
Red, yeah. So when he looked at me, he was like, Mom, were you crying? I told him no, I wasn't. He said, look, your eyes are red. Like your eyes are swollen. You were crying. I said, no. That I wasn't crying. I was praying. He said, okay. That they came to tell me they were hungry. You can imagine
announcing it again
to the same situation that actually led me to that. Okay, so it wasn't up to 20 minutes. My mom called and she was like, how are you? The way I sounded, you know, as a mother, she felt it through my voice that all wasn't well. She asked me, what's the problem? I told her, Mom, man, I won't lie to you. There's nothing in this house and these kids are hungry. What do I do? She said, are you home? I said, yes. Okay, fine. I have 5,000. Can I send it? Would that get you guys food stuff? I said, yes, please, if you can. And when my mom sent me 5,000 naira, then 5,000 would get was money. It would get you something. You at least you can make a small pot of soup with 5,000. And I was able to fix something for us to eat. And that was when I knew that God is mindful of the widows. He answers prayers, and
he's the husband of the
widows,
the defender
exactly,
of the widows.
Yeah. So as a widow, I just know that when I find myself in a situation I'm unable to, I have this problem that I cannot solve it. All right. The only person I talk to is my God. And the moment I call him, he answers me. So
I want to ask, why didn't you think of putting a call through to your mom instead of sitting to cry? Or were you thinking you had overburdened her?
That's the point. All right, so I was always calling my mom, calling. So I was like, at this level, I should be the one taking care of this woman. Why will I be calling her for my own problems? I may become a burden to this woman, and it's something I don't like to do. Not only to my mother, I don't like to be a burden to anyone.
Anybody.
Yeah. So I didn't want to. Not like if I had called her, she wouldn't come to my aid, but then I didn't want to.
But God still came through for
Exactly.
you through her.
Yeah, through her. And then she called at that point that I needed someone to talk to and I needed that help. So my journey as a widow, it's been really challenging, but I think God has been faithful. And then as we speak, then like I said earlier, my first son was just in nursery 1. And then the second wasn't even in school.
When this happened.
When this happened. But as we speak today, my first son is in just 1. I've been able to, push them, and then the second will join next year.
Yeah. Before you know
it, they will be somewhere. So God has been faithful.
I can relate, my sister. In fact, I know that as a widow, if you want to tell your story, we will not leave here today.
Exactly.
Because personally, I am a widow.
And you know it all.
I know the challenges. Financially, emotionally, the loneliness.
I forgot to mention that.
Everything.
The loneliness.
You are the one that will think about what to do. You are the one to advise yourself. So I want to ask, how have you been able to cope in the area of loneliness?
Okay.
How have you been able to take care of yourself emotionally?
Oh, well, that just reminds me of a colleague of mine that lost the husband 2 years ago. She's a colleague of mine. And then she came to me one day in the office and said, Inem, come. You have been on this journey before me. You're a senior widow. Come and tell me. Please advise me. That was just a month after she lost her spouse. She was like, come and advise me. How do I start? What do I do? I told her, you're my junior colleague on this journey. So if you actually want me to tell you, you have to pay me. So I talked to you about it. And then, she kept asking, said it's not easy. And the money, I'm not even talking about the money, but the loneliness. How do you manage? Have you been able to date someone, or are you planning to remarry? She kept asking those questions. And then the first thing I told her was, I thought, look, it's too early for you to start talking about this. Because it's just...
I am telling you, if she was just 1 month old
as a widow, and you're already considering thinking about remarrying.
She has a lot of problems on her hands.
Remarrying and the loneliness and how you're going to cope, how you cope at night and all of that. I told her, first of all...
people are actually wired differently. Some of us are stronger emotionally. Okay. And some people aren't. Not, yeah. Do you understand?
That's true.
Some women really love to be with their men. At all times. So when such things happen to such women, they find it very difficult to cope.
Yeah.
So we don't really have to blame her because she's just wired differently. So to her, that meant a lot. So let's continue. So how have you been coping?
Well, I've been good. That's all I would say. At least I've been able to manage my emotions. Okay, I've been able to manage it in such a way that I don't let those things bother me. Now, the only thing that comes into my head most times that wouldn't even let me, think towards that part is, what will you do for these children? After the nursery and primary, which secondary school do you think you're sending them to? Okay, you don't have money. What other, skill, what can you do, okay, to add to what you have that would help train these children to where you want them to be, that will bring more money, that will increase my income? When those thoughts come into my head, man, I have no time to think about.
Exactly,
they don't come. So that's just it. So when I look at myself, I'm this type that I want my children to go places. I want those boys, in fact, I want their father to be proud of them wherever he is.
To look back and
say, hey, this
You
woman,
made me
you've
proud.
tried, you've made me proud. So when I look at those aspects, I tend not to pay attention to my emotions. Yeah, as human, as a woman, definitely there are times I get lonely. No, I wouldn't say I don't. I do, but most times I try not to pay attention to those emotions, because hey, if you put your, if you focus on your emotions as a widow, trust me, you will do things you're not supposed to do. And then I always tell my fellow widows, I'm sorry, I don't know how this will sound, but that's the truth. When you don't control yourself as a widow, men will come. Yeah. It's been 7 years as a widow, and I know how many men I have encountered. Now, there are some that would come and promise you heaven and earth. There are some that would tell you, is it not these children? I will train them. Leave them for me. I will take care of them. If you're not conscious of yourself as a widow, you will fall into several hands. That is because when this one comes and, gets what he came for, he is gone.
Before you know it,
you
become everybody's wife.
Before you know it, you become everybody's wife. Yes, that's what happens. So, as a widow, one has to be
careful,
very careful. Use your head.
Sensible.
You have to be everything. Remember, there's no one that would advise you. You advise yourself as a widow. And that was the same thing I told my colleague. I told her, look, you are the one that would advise yourself as a widow. I will not advise you, because what works for me may not work for you. Exactly. So if plan B works for me, probably plan A works for you. So the journey as a widow, you advise yourself. And then the most important thing is, do not forget to call God. Do not forget to pray to Him.
That's the most important.
Do not forget to tell Him how you feel. Do not forget to let Him know that this is what you are going through as a widow. Trust me, when you put God first, every other thing will be taken care of. So that's how my journey has been as a widow.
Wow, my sister, I really thank God for you, Inem, honestly. I remember when we met from Facebook.
Yeah, we met.
And I got to know that you were widowed. I really felt, I felt bad. And I think you and I shared some words of encouragement.
We did
that time. So I am glad to know that you are still pushing.
Yeah,
and
pushing.
You have made up your mind to keep pushing till your children get to where they'll be able to stand on their own. And I must tell you that this God never fails.
He doesn't at
One
all.
thing I tell younger widows is that God has a special spot for widows.
That's true.
Except you are not...
You're not closer to Him.
You are not getting close to Him. Except you are not embracing Him. For me, He's everything. I wrap myself around Him. Like, I remember when I first lost my husband. I'm older than you in this journey. Older than
you are a senior widow.
I'm a very senior widow. We lost him in 2008, and it was like
a long time.
So it was like the world came crashing down on me. Just like what you're saying, I was very confused.
Sometimes you feel like giving up.
Yes, I was very confused. In fact, I didn't know I could make it.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was possible. Because in my own case, my husband has spoiled me so much that he was the one buying up to things like, common things like salt, Maggi, pepper, onions. You know, in the north, the men are the ones that go to the market. Especially the men that love their wives. We lived in the northern part of Nigeria. So all he would tell me to do is write lists.
The list.
I'll write the list. He will go to the market. He will buy and overbuy. So sometimes when he had to travel or he was transferred
becomes
and I
difficult
was
for
staying
you.
alone, sometimes I will close from school and I will not remember that salt had finished because my husband was not there. I won't remember that there was no Maggi or onions in the house. It's when I want to go and cook
that you remember,
that I will
you
not
realize.
there was no salt.
Oh.
There was no pepper. And that's how far he had spoilt me. So mine was a serious problem, such that people will fold their hands and look at me and shake their heads and ask, how will she survive?
How will she survive? How will she
But
cope?
to God's glory, those same people, today, they give me thumbs up and said, you've proven all of us wrong. Because you've turned out stronger than we thought we could. You could ever be. So, but it's been God every step of the way. It's been him.
Been faithful.
I've been calling upon him, and I'm still calling upon him. The children are all grown now on their own, and I want to use my story to encourage you. You see those children. The other one, the first one, I started JS1, and the other one is still in primary school. I want to tell you that in no distant future from now, you will look at your journey and you will say, God, you are big.
You're big.
I want to tell you that you should keep doing what you are doing. I really love the fact that when your husband died, instead of you pretending to have money and struggling to pay fees in a school that was higher than what you could cope, you had the courage to pull that child out. That's where a lot of widows make mistakes. They don't want to go down their
level. They feel people will look at
them.
Will laugh at me and say, because my husband is not there, what am I doing? Why is my child in this school?
So they will now leave those children in those expensive schools that they know they cannot cope until school fees piled up, and then those children are finally chased out of school, and then it becomes more shameful. So I must commend you that you were able to take that bold step. I must commend you for that. I want to ask. Now, the children are grown. They are fully aware that they have only their mom, that their mom is their mom as well as their dad. How have you been able to cope in the area of disciplining them?
Okay.
You know that a lot of people believe that children that are raised by
a single mom
cannot be disciplined.
Well, I must say it's been challenging in that area.
Especially boys in your case.
And you know, I have both of them are boys. I must say it's been challenging. That's another challenge. But then I've been able to, do those things, make them understand that even if their father isn't there, we can make it together. Okay? I don't look at my children, I don't make them, I don't know how I'll put this, but really I don't let my children out of my sight. Yes, and that has helped me. The only thing I do is probably during weekends, maybe holidays, sometimes I feel like I should take a rest. I send them to my mom. I think that's the only person I send them to, so I can relax, maybe have a little time for myself, and then I bring them back. But I would say in that aspect, my church has been helpful.
Thank God.
Okay? I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Okay.
Yeah, and we've been taught the gospel. Okay, we've been taught the gospel. The children have been taught the gospel. So, in the church, the children have been taught. When they come back home, they try to apply those principles.
Yeah.
And then my children would quote from the Bible and let you know, even when I am wrong as a mother. Do you know my first son would tell me, Mommy, that's not what they taught us in church.
Good.
So that you understand. You in
check.
Yes. he would tell me, Mom, this thing you're doing is wrong.
It's wrong.
You know, there was a day they were preaching in church and they said, parents should not hit their children. They should not shout on their children. And my first son turned immediately to look at the mother because I've been doing that at home. So when we got home, I asked him, so why did you look at me like that? He said, Mommy, the church said parents should not hit their children. They should not shout, but you've been shouting on us. And when I looked at him, I asked him, do I just shout on you?
Mm-hmm.
Or is it when you are wrong? You've done something wrong. That's why I shout on you. Hey, but Mommy, church said that we should not shout. They should not shout on us. They should not shout on us. Then don't do those things that would make Mommy shout on you. So in that aspect, I think the principles we've learned in the church, it's been helpful.
Praise God.
So I don't really need to, I don't do much, I may say, but God has been faithful. He's been helping me scale through in all aspects, not only the discipline, all aspects.
Praise God.
Yes.
So I want to ask again, aside your work,
Okay.
what other things do you do in terms of skill to bring
Okay.
in more income for you to be
Actually,
able to cope, especially in this economy?
In this economy. Well, I always tell people that I am a jack of all trades.
Yeah. And master of all.
All. Not none. Master of all. Some people
Master
say
of
jack of all
all.
trades, master of none. And I said, no, master of all. Okay, I try to fix myself wherever. And I still advise widows to do same.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't end up, doing what you're not supposed to do just to get money to take care of the children. As I am, I've sold before. I sell jewelries. The only challenge I had there was much credit.
People buying on
credit and
buying and selling business.
It's not easy
like that because I have experienced it myself.
Buying on credits. You take them there, this one is fine, this one is
They'll
fine. People pick and pick. But it takes you 2 months for you to get your money.
Get your money back.
So it's really difficult. I have tried that. And then, what else have I have sold stockfish.
Okay.
My younger sister, when I was at Ikorekpene before I relocated to Uyo, okay, my sister had a shop in the market. I told her, look, I need to do something. Man, this salary thing is not working. She was like, what would you do? She was into food stuff. I told her, okay, since you're into food stuff, and I may not have the money to, get a shop, I can just get anything I can get, probably drop here. You help me sell. But days that I'm off work, I can come help you. She said, okay, that's fine. And then I got a loan from the bank. I had to venture into stockfish business. So what I did was get those stockfish. I had a wheelbarrow. I would just stock them into that wheelbarrow, take them to my sister's shop, drop them there, and she helps me sell. But the days I'm off work, I get to the market and join her. But I had to stop because along the line, the business was, I don't know if it was mismanagement or something, but I wasn't getting, as much profit as I expected. So I didn't want to put my money there. And you can imagine you getting a loan to go into a business that fails. Okay, and these people keeps taking the money from my salary every month. So I just stopped. So
were you able to pay the loan back fully?
Yes, and I'm still paying.
Yeah,
I'm still paying.
They've not taken the money.
No. They've
not taken all.
They've not taken all. I'm still paying. For now, I had to, because I wasn't getting, enough profit from the business, so I had to shut down. And then after a year, I decided to go into jewelries. Okay. Which I was running till last year. I paused.
Why did you pause? Because for me, what helped me, what saved me as a widow was buying and selling.
Yes,
I was doing a lot of buying and selling clothes, shoes, bags for both men and women, jewelries. In fact, that was my saving grace.
Okay, well, like I said, I didn't just stop. I paused for the meantime because I'm looking at, the way people, mostly civil servants, buy from you, and then it takes months for you to get the money to pay. Not
they don't keep to their
promise. Don't keep to their promise. Someone will buy from me and say, hey, at the end of the month I'll pay. But once salary drops, the person stops taking your calls. So In a situation
experienced
like
that
that, you can't go beat anybody just to get your money. So because of that, I was trying, and as we speak, people are still owing me.
I understand.
There are people I was unable to get my money till today as we speak.
Have you reported them to God? Because that's what I used to do.
Of course I did that.
In the night, I would pray and I would tell God, please go touch their hearts. You know, this
So
is
they can
where I
pay
am
me.
getting to take care of
To
these
take
your
care
children.
of these young ones. Okay. So I've done that. What I'm looking at is by next month I should be able to start up another business, because I'm one person that wouldn't want to sit idle depending on salaries. I don't have another support, so I have to keep supporting myself.
Salaries can't really
no, it
add
can't.
up. It can't take care of everything
at all.
So I always encourage every young widow, please get something
doing
else,
an additional something,
additional thing to add to whatever thing you are getting as your income, because we've all seen that things are even getting more and more expensive. Times are hard. The economy is bad, and it's not just a Nigerian thing.
Everywhere.
It's a global thing.
Everywhere.
So we need to do something to help ourselves. So thank God for how far He has taken you through. And I want to ask, taking care of your children all by yourself, being their mom and their dad, being able to manage yourself emotionally, I want to ask, would you love to remarry?
Oh, well, I actually expected that question, because I think most widows have to, in fact, majority of us, we think about that. Okay, and I expected that question.
Okay.
Well, for now, I would say no.
Okay.
I'm focused on the children. Even if I would, that would be probably when I'm, maybe, I don't know, I can't say, but for now, no. My focus is just to train those children, okay?
And you don't want any distraction?
I don't want any distraction, because I noticed the moment I take that decision, the moment I decide to go into another marriage, I think I'll be distracted from my children.
Exactly.
So I wouldn't want to.
Because you'll have to give the man attention.
And the attention will be divided.
Attention.
So if I was giving 100%, I would have to divide that into 50-50.
Yes.
And if you're unable to manage that,
if you're not able to manage it well,
no.
It is either your children will turn against you,
or the man,
your new husband will turn against you.
Yeah, that's the thing. So I've told myself, girl, concentrate on these boys, train the boys, let them get to a certain level where they can stand on their own.
Maybe when they may have graduated from the university.
Maybe by that time, I think I can consider remarrying, but for now, no.
Miss Inem or Mrs. Anti,
anyone.
It has been a very beautiful time with you, listening to your experiences as a widow, listening to you talk about your challenges and how God has helped you to overcome those challenges. Yeah. So what's your last word for young widows?
I think I mentioned that earlier. Yeah. As a young widow, you have to be focused. Okay. Especially those ones that have kids. Yeah. You know, there are some young widows that go into that marriage, they didn't have kids before losing their spouses. So for those ones, well, I think if they decide to, to remarry,
they should,
because you didn't have a child and you can manage that marriage, you can manage that home. But for those of us that had kids already, man, you have to focus on your children, okay? And then always put God first. At some point, it will dawn on you, it will be as if the whole world is against you. At some point, there are situations you will find yourself and you feel like giving up. But that is when you are not closer to your God. That is when you don't make Him your mentor. Because as a widow, there are times, you're in a situation and you tell Him, God, I don't know what to do. Direct me. Okay, tell me, what should I do in this situation? And when you sleep and wake up, all right, when you sleep and wake up, solution will be there. It will be as if someone just directed you and told you, look, this is what you have to do. But that is God. So as a young widow, be focused, and please do not take any decision without consulting him. God, asking him, should I do this? Should I not do this? That has worked for me, and I know it will always work for others.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure.
Thank you very much for coming on our show today and sharing your experience.
The pleasure is mine.
I'm very happy that you accepted this invitation and you've really opened up to us. I wish you all the best, and I wish the boys all the best. I pray for you and the boys that God will always remain your defender, your husband, and the father to your boys.
Amen.
In the name of Jesus.
Thank you so much.
And so, viewers, that's where we are wrapping it up on this show today, talking with Mrs. Inemesit Antai. And I want to use this opportunity to encourage every young widow out there. Please do not give up hope. God loves you. He has a very special spot for widows and the fatherless children. He did it for me, and I know he will see you through. Just hold on to him. Like Mrs. Antai told us, do not take a step without consulting him. He'll always be there to guide you. Thank you very much for being with us today. God bless you. Bye-bye.